Hi, I'm Luke. I'm an SEO executive from Salient Search Marketing, and in this video I'm just going to explain pagination. So I'm sure if you're sort of an SEO yourself or a webmaster or whatever it may be, I'm sure you would have heard of pagination. And basically when we talk about pagination, we're just talking about splitting out content onto sort of different pages. So this is really important if you've got, say, a news website. So here we're using pagination on our news category, different pages for news articles like so. So each page contains 6 articles. This is also really handy if you've got an e-commerce site and you've got a lot of sort of product listing pages. Split the products out sort of on different pages so you're not loading them all at once. The reason for this is so that it's not impacting negatively on performance or a load of products at once, or if you're loading sort of links to news articles as well as images and little descriptions or titles, it's going to have a negative impact on page speed. So that's why you would sort of look at using pagination. Some pagination sort of probably the easiest form of splitting out pages for crawlers to access. So there's a few ways you can split out pages. So you could use pagination, you could use load more buttons, which I'm sure you would have seen, and you can use infinite scroll. So like when you scroll down a page and more products appear. Pagination's the easiest for web crawlers to crawl. Obviously you'd need to make sure that you are adhering to best practice, but the reason for that is because paginated pages are just, each page has its own URL. It's not heavily reliant on JavaScript, which load more and infinite scroll is. If you adhere to best practice, which is relatively easy, I'd say, to implement, then it's easy for a search engine to understand the sequence. When we talk about best practices, the sort of things that we're talking about are, you want to make sure that you're linking to pages sequentially. By that I just mean you need to make sure that you're linking to page 1, then page 2, page 3, page 4. You want to have sort of separate URLs for each page. Here we've got page/2. You might have sort of maybe use page equals 2, page equals 3, and so on, but we've basically split it out onto its own URL. It's also a really good idea, best practice, to link to the first page in the paginated sequence and the last page in the sequence. This just makes it easier really for web crawlers to access those pages and the articles or products on these pages. You obviously as well want to make sure that these links are sort of easily, you can see them and they're in the source code of the page, rather than using JavaScript to load them, adding them in the source code. Makes it sort of easier for a web crawler to understand, to see that link. When a web crawler goes to your web page, it'll crawl the source code first, then it'll sort of put the rendered code into a queue, and then it'll render and crawl the rendered code. It takes a longer time basically if you're using JavaScript to do this. So here you can see we've got page equals page 2, page 3, page 4, etc., and the last page in the source code. And then another sort of best practice that many people use, however, it's important to mention, it is depreciated now. Google search advocates have said this isn't really used anymore, is to use a rel equals next and rel equals prev links in here. So if we sort of go to, say, page 3, we can see the rel equals next and rel equals prev tag. So this is basically saying this is the previous and the next in the sequence. As I said, Google doesn't use this really anymore, but obviously Google's not the only search engine, and Bing and so on do. So that's it on pagination.